Just picture this. Atlanta's hip-hop scene is thriving and thriving. Streets are bustling with activity. There are murmurs, and all of a sudden, the atmosphere becomes thick with attention that nobody saw coming out of nowhere. Whatever began as a lighthearted, the scuffles between rap heavyweights morph into something more sinister, something that no one does. Prepared to undergo. Ty, the self-proclaimed monarch of the South, imagined he had everything will be under control. He felt the rivalries were simply music, just part of the game. But Shawty had no idea what was going on. What Lo was saying was more than just smooth on tracks. He was dead serious, and the stakes were significantly larger than anyone imagined. Fans are astonished, insiders are whispering, and the entire town is hanging its breath, wondering how this feud could ignite so soon. Emotions ran strong, accusations started flying, and soon the family was left divided. What was intended to be innocuous competition became a battleground of pride, treachery, and surprising truths. And the most scary part, because I had absolutely no idea how far Shawty Lo was prepared to take it till things went fully left. Buckle up, because this isn't just another rap beef narrative. This is a narrative of loyalty tested, reputations destroyed, and frightening realities nobody was prepared to face. Atlantanites had always had a peculiar rhythm: automobiles, cruising down ancient National Highway, music screaming from corner stores, folks catching up on porches. But behind the bustle of normal existence, something was seething. Word on the street was that Shawty Lo had been plotting something well beyond a lyrical exchange and for tea. It was the calm before a storm he didn't even realize was forming. It all started with rumors at strip clubs and studios. Pals of pals said, "Yo, Shawty Lo ain't playing this time." At first, nobody took it seriously. Everyone felt it was just more of the regular back and forth, a part of the culture that had Atlanta humming. But Shawty Lo had a distinct type of intensity in his eyes, a gaze that told people he wasn't in it for jokes or publicity. Fans started noticing too, commenting online that his tone had transformed, that there was a pain in his comments that felt personal. T, on the other hand, was busy handling his own Globe business pursuits, family problems, studio sessions. He brushed off the talk, certain that whatever Shawty Lo was saying wouldn't get far. But those close to him began raising eyebrows. One of his close buddies grabbed him aside one evening and said, "Tip, I don't believe Shawty Lo, just talking." The man sounded wounded. T waved it off, waving a hand like it was nothing, man. He just trying to sell recordings? I ain't worried. But deep down, a seed of disquiet planted itself. Shawty Lo felt degraded. For him, it wasn't simply about music or charts. It was about legacy, about respect in the community he called home. He'd been carrying grudges from the past, unresolved emotions that had festered quietly. To him, T's crown as the so-called monarch of the South was a slap in the face. King of the South. Shawty Lo scoffed one night in front of his workers. How he gon' be king when he don't even run his own block? The room erupted in laughing, yet underneath the quips lay a biting edge of truth. At least in Shawty Lo's mind, things began escalating. When Shawty Lo launched a music that wasn't simply subliminals, it was direct. The bars were loaded with allegations, calling T out on personal concerns, doubting his trustworthiness, even hinting at things T never believed would surface. Fans were surprised. Comments saturated social media. Shawty Lo going too far. T better respond. This ain't no friendly beef. And although many laughed and enjoyed the show, those who knew the history comprehended the weight behind Shawty Lo's statements. T finally sat down in the studio, listening to the tune from start to end. His face was inscrutable at first, but his crew sensed the tightness in his jaw. The way he tapped his fingertips against the mixing board. He believe he can toy with me like that? T whispered under his breath. One of his producers tried to calm him down, stating, "Tip, don't give it energy you above that, yet his pride was hit. And in the world he came from, respect was everything. The matter reached a boiling point one night at a neighborhood bar to stepped up to support a friend's performance, ignorant that poor Lo was already inside the energy. In the room changed quickly. People muttered, phones came out, and suddenly everyone was waiting to see what would happen. Shawty Lo spotted T across the room and without hesitation walked straight over. "So you the king, huh?" Shawty Lo said, his voice dripping with cynicism. T gazed back, cool but strong. I ain't have to prove no to you. The gathering grew tight, fans crowding closer, phones recording every second. Their crews swiftly intervened, yanking them apart before things escalated. But the harm was done. Atlanta had witnessed a true confrontation, and the city was bustling by the next morning. Blogs ran titles like T and Substandard Lo phase off in heated nightclub moment, and fans surprised as rap battle gets physical. But the drama didn't stop there. Shawty Lo began making appearances in neighborhoods related to T, claiming his own dominance and talking directly to residents. "See this my city," he boasted. Cameras rolling. Videos later uploaded online. Y'all know who actually hold it down. Fans ate it up, flooding the comments with diverse perspectives. Some said Shawty Lo was merely cloud chasing, while others thought he was uncovering facts. T had been hiding. Behind closed doors, T's family was feeling the pressure. Tiny, his wife, sat him down one night and said, "Baby, this ain't just music anymore. People out there tucking and it's influencing the kids." Her voice trembled with concern because what was once just a public spectacle was intruding into their private lives. T-Side massaged his temples, aware that no matter how much he tried to brush it off, Shawty Lo was pressing his hand. One evening, when T was practicing for a play, a mutual acquaintance strolled in with alarming news. Shawty Lo preparing something major. "It ain't just tunes, buddy. He about to make this personal?" The room grew quiet. T put down his mic, his crew exchanging uneasy stares. "What you mean personal?" he asked. The acquaintance shook his head. "I mean, he delving deep. Family history the full nine, and he don't care who get caught in the crossfire." That was the moment T understood he was no longer in control of the narrative. The feud wasn't isolated to tracks or clubs anymore. It was leaking into real life, and the stakes had gotten higher than he ever dreamed. And as if the tension wasn't already awful, an unexpected twist occurred. An old associate from T's early days, someone he hadn't spoken to in years, suddenly appeared in Shawty Lo's group. Whispering details from the past, secrets T had buried, choices he had believed would never emerge, were suddenly in danger of being used against him. "Tip ain't who he say he is," the associate reportedly said in a leaked video, generating allegations that spread like wildfire. Fans were deeply divided. Some stood strongly with T, backing his legacy and dismissing the claims as frauds. Others felt Shawty Lo was finally ripping the mask off, revealing the truth about the so-called king. Emotions ran hot. Social media erupted into a battlefield, and even other artists in the industry began selecting sides. The tension was reaching a point of no return, and T's pride mingled with his fear. Would he confront Shawty Lo head-on, risking everything, or would he find a way to outwit him without giving in to the turmoil? The city of Atlanta held its breath, waiting for the next move. As shadows of betrayal, pride, and unsolved grudges loomed large over both men. And just when it appeared like things couldn't get worse, Shawty Lo unleashed a bombshell that no one, including T, was prepared for. Shawty Lo wasn't one to waste time when he had the crowd's attention. Only days after the nightclub face-off, he released what fans would call the bombshell. Oh, it wasn't just another diss track. It was a full-out assault shrouded in raw passion. In the opening lyrics, Shawty Lo hinted to things T had resisted for years to keep buried. He spoke about old dealings gone bad, friendships T had severed. He even alluded to family members who had been pulled into confrontations behind closed doors. "Tip ain't who y'all think he is," he rapped with venom in his voice. King of the South. He only a royal with a crown borrowed. The internet erupted quickly. Blogs, podcasts, and gossip channels examined every lyric, every detail. Fans were outraged, wanting explanations. Was Shawty Lo unveiling genuine skeletons? Or was he inventing controversy to humiliate T? What made it worse was the video he posted accompanying the track. It wasn't a dazzling song video loaded with automobiles and jewels, was footage of him standing in neighborhoods. T used to say talking to old faces from the neighborhood. "See this where you say he from? But y'all don't see him here no more, do you?" Shawty Lo taunted, surrounded by a bunch of people nodding and laughing. The clip traveled like wildfire, and immediately the narrative transformed. T's followers who had been defending him started asking questions. One fan wrote, "Yo, if sloppy low-lying, why he got folks from Tip's Hood co-signing?" Another commented on Instagram, "This bigger than rap now." This looking like real-life receipts. This looked like real-life receipts. T was outraged in the solitude of his home. He paced back and forth while Tiny sat on the couch, her face filled with worry. "He ain't gonna stop until he dragged my name through the mud," T yelled, his voice sharp. Tiny reached out, attempting to calm him. "Baby, you can't let him win like this. You had to be clever, not emotional." But T's pride was already on fire. Nah, he crossed a line. He placing my family in this. He gon' regret it. But Shawty Lo wasn't done. He started making appearances on local radio shows, accepting calls from admirers and fueling the fires further. One radio host challenged him directly, "Why so personal with T? What's really behind this?" Shawty Lo leaned into the mic, his tone deadly cold. He'd been strolling around like he'd better than everybody, like he above the people who constructed this city. "I'm just reminding him and anybody else who truly put in the work." The audience went silent before bursting with applause and gasps. At this moment, other rappers and business figures began chiming in. Some sided with T, arguing he had won his title by years of hits, steadiness, and business moves. Others intimated that Shawty Lo wasn't entirely wrong, that maybe there were stories from T's background the public didn't know about. The industry was divided, and so was Atlanta. Meanwhile, T's children were starting to hear the rumors at school and online. One of his boys came home one day upset after being bullied by classmates who repeated lines from Shawty Lo's song. Tiny's voice trembled when she told T, "This is affecting the kids now. We can't just think about pride, we got to think about them." But the pressure only pushed Tether into a corner. He convened a late-night meeting with his workers at the studio. "We got to reply. If I allow this slip, everybody gon' assume it's true. My name ain't gon' be a joke in these streets," one of his closest buddies cautioned. Tip replying might just give him more shine. Maybe quiet harmed him more. But T shook his head firmly. "Now silence make me look weak. I ain't never been weak." And so T prepared his own response. A track loaded with stinging rebuttals, straight shots, and a reminder of who he was. When it dropped, fans were ecstatic. T's delivery was precise. His bars swelled with confidence. He painted Shawty Lo as spiteful, envious, and desperate for attention. "You shouting for a crown you ain't never earned," he rapped. His voice solid and forceful. The internet once again exploded. Hashtags like Tosh-teamed and Kashur Ajabutai. Lo Savage trended. Fans discussed constantly in comment sections. T killed him. Some answered, "Nah, Shawty Lo still got the streets." Others countered. The back and forth became a full-on cultural phenomenon, with even national outlets picking up the tale. But just as T felt he'd regained control of the story, Shawty Lo attacked again, this time with something T never imagined. He brought out receipts, physical documentation, ancient legal documents, and testimonials from persons who claimed to know T's past. In an Instagram Live that pulled tens of thousands of viewers, Shawty Lo pulled up papers and stated he'd been behaving like he faultless. "But I got proof he ain't who he said he is. This man been hiding behind an image for years." People gasped in the comments, screenshots of the live session spreading instantly. Fans were astonished, unsure whether to believe the documents or ignore them as desperate attempts. One commenter asked, "Is this actual T done?" Another added, "Shawty Lo really going for blood?" T's crew instantly went into crisis mode. Lawyers were called, publicists produced remarks, and everyone scrambled to control the story. But the damage was already spreading like wildfire. Every blog, every gossip channel, every podcast was studying the so-called receipts in the midst of this pandemonium. T sat in silence in his home studio, staring at the screen of his phone, watching the live replay of poor, low-waving papers about. His heart hammered, not because he believed the charges would hold weight, but because of the way perception could become reality. In the world of hip-hop and celebrity, image was everything. Tiny entered the room quietly, resting a hand on his shoulder. "Baby, you had to think carefully about your next action. This ain't only about music no more. It's about reputation, about family, about everything you built." T nodded slowly, his eyes dark with determination. Then I believe it's time I remind him and everybody else who I truly am. But before T could act, yet another twist unraveled. An anonymous person reached out to a big blog saying they had proof that Shawty Lo's receipts weren't fully legitimate. Screenshots and videos began circulated, showing that at least some of the documents had been altered or overstated. Fans were astonished all over again, and the tide of public opinion began to shift. Some declared Shawty Lo a phony, accusing him of creating evidence simply to damage T down. Others stated that real or fabricated, the fact that it reached this point showed just how far Shawty Lo was willing to go. Emotions ran strong, friendships dissolved, and the city grew more divided than ever. As the smoke from this revelation settled, T recognized an opening. He may finally turn the tables and reveal Shawty Lo's practices, but deep down, T also realized that the feud had already gone further than he ever wanted. This wasn't just about rap anymore. It was about treachery, about family, about pride, and about a battle that neither man seemed willing to back down from. And just when T began organizing his strike, he received a phone call late at night, one that changed everything and set the stage for the following explosive chapter of their feud. The phone rang soon past midnight, its harsh tremor cutting through the thick silence of T.I.'s studio. He almost disregarded it, figuring it was another manager or journalist seeking to get a statement. But something about the number flashing on the screen made him pause. It felt unfamiliar yet strangely familiar. Curiosity got the best of him and he answered. A deep voice came on the other end, calm but weighted with seriousness. "Tip, you don't know me like that, but I know you and I know Shawty Lo. This gone went too far. Meet me tomorrow alone. There's things you don't know." Before T could answer, the line went dead. He sat transfixed, the phone still in his grasp. "Who is this? Why now?" Tiny stuck her head into the room, alarmed. "Who was that baby?" T shook his head queasy. "I don't know yet, but I got to find out." The next day, T came at a dimly lit diner on the outskirts of the city. The kind of setting where no one asked questions. Seated in the back was a man T recognized faintly from his early days in the game. An old face from the neighborhoods where T formerly hustled. His name was Rico, a person who had quietly faded from the scene years before. Rico leaned closer, his voice low. "Shawty Lo ain't plain, Tip. This ain't about rap no more. He rummaging into old wounds, old business deals, old alliances, and he got people feeding him info. People you used to run with." T's eyes narrowed. "Who?" Rico hesitated before mentioning Marcus. "You remember Marcus? Y'all used to be tight till that fallout over money." He the one whispering in Shawty Lo's ear. The name hit T like a blow to the chest. Marcus wasn't just some associate. He had been like a brother. They had come up together, faced the same struggles, celebrated the same successes. But a bitter falling out years before had broken their friendship. If Marcus was now fueling Shawty Lo's fire, that meant this feud had roots deeper than T thought. Back at home, T's irritation spilled over. He'd bringing Marcus into this. He snapped, pacing the living room. Tiny tried to calm him, but the treachery stung too deep. "Man, Marcus knew stuff only family supposed to know. If he talking, then Shawty Lo actually have ammo." News of Marcus's involvement surfaced within days, stoking the already blazing controversy. Blogs ran wild with speculation. Headlines shouting, "Former best friend betrays T. Sides with Shawty Lo." Fans were surprised. "Yo, if his own boy turned on him, maybe Shawty Lo stating the truth," one Twitter user remarked. Another added, "This beat becoming dangerous now. Too personal." Shawty Lo wasted no time capitalizing. During another live session, he emerged with Marcus by his side. The two laughed and reminiscing about past Atlanta days. Marcus hinted at stories, saying things like, "Man, if people knew the part the tip." But he stopped short of full revelations, keeping the intrigue alive. Fans were hooked to their screens, emotions running wild. T, meanwhile, was divided between wrath and heartache. The betrayal by Marcus wounded worse than any diss track. He confided in Tiny late one night. "This ain't even about Shawty no more. This about Marcus. How have you gone swapped sides like that?" After everything, Tiny clasped his hand, her eyes warm. "Baby, sometimes the people closest to us harm us the hardest. But you can't allow this break you. You've got to be smarter." But clever wasn't easy when emotions were high. The tension came to a climax at a charity basketball tournament when T was due to make an appearance. Unbeknownst to him, Shawty Lo and Marcus were also in attendance. The instant T stepped in, the crowd's vibe transformed. Whispers circulated. Bones rose in the air. Everyone sensing drama was about to occur. Shawty Lo noticed T from across the court and smirked, making his way toward him with Marcus trailing behind. "Look who decided to show up." Shawty Lo sneered loud enough for cameras to catch. T's crew instantly formed a protective circle, but T waved them off, advancing closer. "You think this a game?" T shot back, his voice low but angry. Marcus chuckled, adding fuel to the flames. "Ain't no game tip. Just reality finally getting out." The crowd gasped, some shouting, some booing. Emotions ran hot, and for a while it looked punches may fly. Security raced in, yanking the guys apart before anything could escalate. But the footage spread instantaneously online.